Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining today's office hour. My name is Justin Royal, and I'm the community manager for Microsoft Marketplace. We do have a brand new Microsoft Marketplace office hour for partners today, so we will go ahead and get started in just a minute. Before we do that, just wanted to share a few quick reminders. This office hour is actually a monthly offering that we have available through Marketplace Community. So if you're brand new to the community, I definitely encourage you to visit the site and check out all the other events that we have. You can access other office hours. You can access our discussion board where you can ask questions and engage with our Microsoft teammates. The link to the community is up here on the screen. It's aka.ms/community/marketplace. So definitely head over there after the show and join the community if you have not already. Also, we will be having a live Q&A at the end of today's session. If you are available to join us live, definitely submit your questions throughout the presentation, and we will have time to answer your questions at the end. If you're watching this show on your own time, on demand, you can ask your questions in the Marketplace community. So with that being said, we will go ahead and bring in our speakers for today. Today we have Jason Rook and Juhi Saha joining us for a session all about the Marketplace playbook for channel-led sales. So I will go ahead and hand it over to y'all. And thanks again for joining.
All right. Thanks, Justin. Thanks for everyone for tuning in, either live or on demand. We are going to jump right into the content. Let's go ahead and bring up the slide deck here. Excellent. So today is all about the channel-led campaign in a box. Today's conversation is primarily for software companies to participate in Marketplace. If you're a channel partner, you've tuned in, you might learn a few things here as well, but definitely for software companies. And for those of you that have used the multi-party private offer, what we often refer to as the MPO campaign in a box, this is really the next iteration of that tool set for you to use to go and enable and equip your channel to sell in Microsoft Marketplace. There's this, as we do the presentation, all the files are being posted as we speak. So if you're watching on demand, this link will probably work for you. If you're live here, give it just a minute and those files are being posted. But the URL is aka.ms/channel or hyphen led hyphen CIAB for campaign in a box. Let's jump into it. We're going to cover a little bit about channel-led selling, a little update on what's going on with Microsoft on channel-led selling. We've just launched multi-party private offer into more markets and announced more coming soon, so it's an exciting time. Then Juhi Saha is going to walk us through what this campaign in a box really is and the assets that are in it, the 6-step motion to really be successful with this, a little bit of the dive into what each asset is and how you might use them. And then I'm going to wrap up with some best practices on the content based on how we see this content working, and then also the success that others have had with the previous iteration, the MPO campaign in a box. So with that, let's dive into channel-led selling. And I think the context here that we need to set is the size of the opportunity. Channel-led sales, so sales where you as a software company are working with a channel partner. And again, in the Microsoft Marketplace, we use channel partner as this umbrella term. It can be anyone, a DIST, an LSP, an SSP, an MSP, systems integrator of any flavor, a boutique firm, a telco, any of those partners. If they are a Microsoft partner, they're involved in the software sale, we call them a channel partner. But those channel partners are driving Marketplace sales through all of the hyperscalers, right? So channel-led growth is outpacing direct growth right now. We know that by the year 2030, over 50%, almost 60% of all the software sales that take place through a cloud marketplace will be sold through a channel-led motion. So those channel partners are incredibly critical to you as a software company today. We also know that across the hyperscalers, there's over $450 billion of cloud commitments sitting out there. So it's an incredible time to embrace your channel and go after that budget that exists out there with customers. In the Microsoft world, multi-party private offer, which has really only been available in 3 major markets for the last 3 years, is growing well over 100% year over year. We see more channel partners, more software companies participating in driving fast and big deals. We recently announced the expansion of multi-party private offers to the European Economic Area. So we've added another 27 countries. In July, we'll see Australia, Japan, and South Africa And then after that, we'll continue to roll multi-party private offer out throughout the rest of Microsoft's FY27 and FY28. So there are more markets coming. We also now have resale enabled offers globally. So now channel-led selling it's real at this point. The three models that really apply to software companies, if you think about tapping into that marketplace opportunity, are of course multi-party private offer, and then resale enabled offer. Resale enabled offer actually kind of comes with two flavors, right? So you can do resale enabled offer direct with one of your channel partners, right? So you to the channel partner to the customer, or you can use resale enabled offer with a additional partner. Most likely it'll be a distributor. Doesn't have to be. We've seen ISVs enable their offer for resell to other ISVs as well, or I should say SDCs to SDCs. But you do have the two-tier component wherever multi-party private offer is available. So you, as a software company, now have lots of flexibility, which also means that you have some choices to make here in your Microsoft Marketplace strategy. And I will tell you, at the heart of that strategy is going to be channel partners. We know from our data, we know from the feedback you give us that partners or software companies that embrace and utilize their channel to sell through Marketplace have a much better experience, and their revenue seems to accelerate at a faster pace, right? So that's why we have this campaign in a box for you to use. You'll notice that in the campaign in a box slides, you'll see this checklist in a couple of the slide decks, right? Super important. It's to remind you of some of the most critical factors to have success in our marketplace. Very first one is make sure the right team is aligned, right? So we saw this with the MPO campaign in a box. We would often see someone for maybe marketing and alliance person. Those campaigns didn't go as well as the software companies that had marketing, alliances, channel, and operations and sales involved in their campaigns, right? So make sure you have the right teams aligned to drive this motion. Applies to almost anything you do in the Microsoft Marketplace. Make sure that you understand which transaction models you're going to use, when, where, why, etc. It can be geo, it can be partner preference, it can be agreements that you already have with distributors, it can be your preference on how you want to receive or collect or pay monies. So those things all apply. I'm going to spend a bit more time on this in a moment before I turn it over to Juhi. Sales models need to be aligned to marketplace. So one of the places that software companies have challenges is when their sales teams and their channel sales teams have conflicting compensation metrics with marketplace sales. So if you haven't gotten to that point yet where you really kind of cleaned up or clarified your compensation strategy internally, now is the time, because we know that whatever happens with the way you comp your people impacts the way the channel partners respond and work with your folks. Agreed upon communication strategy. This is a really big one for those of you that want to take these assets and do things like social media campaigns. We saw with the multi-party private offer campaign in a box that many partners wanted to, their alliances folks and their channel folks wanted to drive like a LinkedIn ads campaign, but they didn't have access to their company's LinkedIn handle. So they had some challenges there, or it was a long waiting cycle to get there. So make sure that you have your communication strategy, and back to the right team being assembled, you have the right people involved to actually go run the social campaigns or the outbound campaigns that you want to run. Another very important factor is around the offers that you have in Marketplace. It's a no-brainer that if you have an Azure benefit eligible application, you're going to have a much better, you'll have much better success with any of these campaigns. So that's one. But also make sure that you are able in all of your content to articulate how your products work or how your products show up in Marketplace. So if you've got 20 different SKUs that you use to sell off Marketplace, but you just have one big offer that wraps them all up in Marketplace, make sure that you are able to articulate that not only to your internal teams, but also to your channel partners as well. So it's very clear to them on what they need to go sell. Then the final step is operations. Those of you that are selling in cloud marketplaces know how important operations are. Make sure that operations is a part of your plan. One really best practice is that your operations team should help you create content that guides the channel partner through the sale. So if you're using multi-party private offer, make sure your ops team funnels or provides content to those partners to help them know exactly what to do with that multi-party private offer once they see it show up in their dashboard. If you're using resale enabled offers, definitely make sure that your ops team is equipping your channel partner to go and create the private offers that you want to be sold. So in all the content that you will also see this particular slide, it's in all the content that's available with multi-party private offer expansion. It's out off partner.microsoft.com. But this slide is a very important slide for you to use internally with your teams as you think through your transaction models. And again, the what, the why, the where on these different transaction models. The very first one you'll see from a decision criteria perspective is, how does the customer buy their Azure? We know that's super important in marketplace transactions. First question, the customer buys their Azure on a cloud solution provider contract from an authorized cloud solution provider partner, what we like to call CSP customer, CSP partner, then you know you do not have a multi-party private offer or resale enabled offer opportunity. If the customer purchases on an EA or MCA enterprise, then you know it's a multi-party private offer opportunity. So make sure that all your teams and your channel partners understand that concept. Then the rest of this decision criteria really walk you through some of the decisions you need to make. Do you prefer to manage every deal, or do you want somebody else to do that? If you like to manage every deal, then multi-party private offer is the path for you. If you prefer to just hand your offer over to a channel partner and they run with it and sell at scale, then resale enabled offer is the right path. If you really like being paid by Microsoft as opposed to your channel partner, because you've been doing that with your direct deals and you've been doing it with multi-party private offer thus far, MPO is the way to go, right? If the channel partner prefers to be paid by Microsoft, many of them do, especially when they compare MPO and REO, then multi-party private offer is the path. If you like to be paid by the channel partner and you already have those agreements in place, REO seems to make really good sense. If your channel partners have a tendency to want to get top line revenue on their deals. Now, this has changed a little bit since we've had MPO campaign in the box, because more partners are adopting that model. But if your channel partner wants top line revenue, then it's going to be REO. If you want to sell through a two-tier model, then it needs to be REO plus MPO in those markets where MPO is supported. If you're having challenges with the agency fee in the REO model, then MPO is probably going to be the way that you'll default, or your partners will drive you there. I think the last one I'll cover on this decision criteria slide is, do not be concerned about customers that have indirect EAs with Microsoft. A customer with a direct EA or indirect EA can both participate in both multi-party private offer and resale enabled offer transactions, and that partner who serves the role as the partner administrator in an indirect enterprise agreement can also participate. They can both be the partner administrator, and they can be the selling partner, or they can be enabled for resell and sell to that customer. So don't be afraid of an indirect EA influencing your decision on where, why, and how you're going to sell these different offer types. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Juhi, and Juhi's going to walk us through the assets in the campaign. Juhi, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. I love all the flexible options that we have to sell through Marketplace. And so as a software company, you've got a lot of ways that you can work with your channel partners. So we've tried to make it easy, if not simple, to kickstart this. So I'll introduce the campaign playbook and assets that you'll have available, and you can update them based on your needs. So a quick overview of what this is. This is a step-by-step sales and marketing guide, along with assets that are going to help you bring your existing channel partners onto the marketplace and sell with them. The goal is to drive awareness with them, enable them to transact through the marketplace, and every step of the way you can customize what you do and the assets you use. This is just a framework. And I'm assuming that the foundations, which are critical for success that Jason laid out, you've got those in place, and now you're ready to get going on these 6 steps. So step 1, we're going to double click into all of these, but as an overview, it starts by identifying the markets you want to sell into. After that, you can create a short channel partner list you want to work with on the marketplace, and then explain the value of partnering with you on the marketplace. Step 4, we work with your channel partners to enable them and help them understand how to position you, how to talk to their customers about selling through Marketplace. After that, you set up the proper deal constructs. Jason talked about MPO, REO, if you're working with distributors. You have a lot of options, so pick the ones that make the most sense for your business. And finally, after you launch, the goal is to track, optimize, and scale. Whatever's working, we do more of. Whatever's not, we go back and iterate. So let's quickly walk through all of the steps. And as Jason mentioned, the playbook along with assets will be made available to you. So check them out after this session or the webinar. And again, the link is aka.ms/channel-led-CIAB as in boy. All right, so step one, this is how we get started. You have channel partners you're working with today, perhaps not in Marketplace. Pick the target markets you want to sell into. So see where your channel partners are selling today. Pick the right sales motion as Jason described. And also figure out the solutions you want to allow your channel partners to resell. And if it makes sense for your business, you can engage distributors. In many countries, both offer types are available, and quite often distributors have access to a bigger network of channel partners. So don't forget them as you're figuring out your strategy. After that, build your target partner list. The goal here is to shortlist your existing partners, then onboard them, enable them, and work with them, and then refine your process. So in order to build your target partner list, we've actually created a template you could use, and we'll share this out in the assets. It's called a target channel partner list. And you can use this to essentially lay out who your existing partners are in the regions you want to sell into, and then score them and prioritize them based on what your business goals are. Something I did want to call out here is, as you think about partners, you want to prioritize sellers who are proven and who have Microsoft practices. So Microsoft publishes a list each month with eligible partners. That's a great place to start. And make sure you match your model to what your partners are capable of. If you have resale enabled offers, there are different requirements and multi-party private offers. So for resale enabled offers, just make sure you have agreements in place, as Jason said, and direct payment relationships. They'll just make things go faster. If you're working with distributors, look at the strength of their reseller community, because that's going to determine how quickly you can get this going through Marketplace. All right, so now that you've figured out the countries you want to sell into, the partners you're going to work with, the next step is really to help your partners understand what the Marketplace opportunity is and why to resell with you through Marketplace. So we've actually created a deck that you could co-brand, that you could use as you need. And if we have time, maybe Jason, we can walk through a bit of it, but it'll be available to you in the assets. And the goal here is to make it really clear and easy for your partners to understand the why and also the how of working with you. After this, we want to make sure that your partners are fully enabled. So once they've bought in and they've agreed to work with you on Marketplace-led sales, create an enablement kit. And again, we've created a couple of templates that you can use in the asset kit. There's a customer-facing brief, and you can modify the previous slide deck I shared with you. And the goal is here to give them messaging on how to position you, why the Marketplace. Also, really important to your partners, how do they attach services and increase their top and bottom line revenue growth? And finally, any incentives that you have for their sellers. I've been in your shoes as a partner, and I cannot underscore how important it is to offer sales incentives like spiffs or bonuses or rev share. Super, super important to motivate partners to find and close those deals with you. The next thing you can do is share leads and map accounts. So find overlaps in prospects, see if companies have pre-committed cloud budget, and remove channel conflict. As Jason said, it's really, really critical to make sure your internal sales team is not impacted in any way when you work with channel partners. So just take that off the table early and your motion will be smooth. And step 5, work with your channel partners on pricing and terms, and just make sure you've got the setup done right for your existing partners. I won't go into the details here. We have a lot of enablement content in the assets, but the important thing to remember is for resale enabled offers, you've got to sign agreements outside marketplace. So make sure you have those in place. You've authorized your partners. And if you're using multi-party private offers, work with partners who are eligible and make sure they've done all the groundwork like tax profile, treaty creation, etc. And finally, we're on to the last step. We've got to measure. So as Jason mentioned, the teams that have operations in place to track, to measure, and learn from the results, they're the ones who thrive with this motion. So as you start with this small group of partners, track what's going on by partner and country. See what's working, see where the revenue is growing, what incentives work. Of course, this assumes you've defined the metrics that you're going to measure, and we've actually shared some examples of metrics you could use in the playbook. Microsoft has a ton of tools available. You can use Partner Center Insights to measure sales and performance. You can use referrals to spot customers that have pre-committed budgets. And then once you've got this motion, the foundation in place, you can refine and expand it. And again, to help you, we've given you some email and LinkedIn templates that you could use to reach out to your existing channel partner list, get them excited about the opportunity, and get them working with you. So just quickly to summarize, we shared 6 steps that you could use to activate your sales and marketing motion for marketplace channel-led sales. The asset toolkit, which we'll share with you, it's got a ton of content. It's got this playbook. It's also got the internal sales enabled template that you can use to train your team. It's got a template to prioritize and track target channel partners. It's got a bunch of email templates that you could use to reach out to engage your partners, and also a LinkedIn ad template to capture their attention. We've also created a co-branded partner pitch deck to help your partners understand the opportunity. And finally, a customer-facing brief, essentially a one-pager that your channel partners can send to their customers to excite them about working with you. We've also linked out to multi-party private offer guides and resale-enabled offer guides, so you'll have that handy as your partners ask about how do I get onboarded, how do I get started? So a lot of really, really great resources to help you thrive. And before I hand it off to Jason to recap, here are 6 steps that can get you going. So first, select your markets, pick the countries you want to activate. Second, build your shortlist. So choose 3 to 5 existing partners with pipeline in the countries you want to enter through Marketplace. 3, articulate the value. So reach out and share the opportunity. 4, make sure you've matched the models or the deal constructs to your channel strategy. 5, activate your partners. So authorize them, onboard them, and enable them. And 6, as they start selling through Marketplace and you see revenue come in, refine your motion with learnings, and then go forth and expand and recruit net new partners. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jason to talk about internal enablement.
Excellent. Thank you. I did see that there was a question that came into the chat. Not fast enough to type an answer out before I need to jump back on here. I'll do that after the show. But keep those questions coming. They're great. The question was, does Microsoft help you with your partner recruiting? The answer is really no, because Microsoft has no expertise in what partners would be good for your business, right? So if you're a storage software company, Microsoft doesn't really know who's a great storage partner for you, right? That's really your business and your expertise. Now, we do share the MPO eligible list every month. We update it so you can see who's eligible. But really, where you have the most success is when you bring your channel partners to Marketplace, right? Because you're bringing partners that are equipped to sell your product already. You're just adding a new transaction model. So with that, I'm going to cover just a couple of highlights from probably the 2 most important assets. One's the internal enablement deck, and the second one is the co-branded partner deck, right? So I think I think enablement's super important, because if you're going to run a campaign, how do you go get your channel managers or engagement managers to go and invite and drive demand to their partners if they don't know what it is that they're doing in the first place? So there's about 20 some slides in this deck. I just picked the kind of the 3 that I thought were the most important for you to know. This one I'll start with is what products. I mentioned earlier how important it is for you to be able to articulate what products are available for sale in marketplace. I can't tell you how many times we've had a partner who had some confusion and had to go to Microsoft or the software company trying to figure out, hey, this thing I used to sell, it had this part number. What is that in these offers within marketplace? Make sure you're super clear there, right? And if you do have multiple SKUs that also roll up into like an enterprise edition, make sure you articulate those. You'll also see in all the slides these tips in the upper right-hand corner where we make some of these comments to remind you along the way of some things that make sense, right? And these weren't things that we made up. They're all things that popped up with the original MPO campaign in a box as well. So this slide, you'll want to take this, replace your logos here, add your product names. If you have more than 3, that's great. You'll just need to build more slides, but you might want to keep it as simple as possible for both your internal and your external teams. The other slide that I think is important here is, hey, which partners can actually sell? I will remind you, I'll start at the bottom. I'll remind you, use the MPO eligible partner list to see who's eligible from a Microsoft perspective. If you've got a partner, they're not eligible on the Microsoft side, do not mess around in Partner Center. Send them to channelready@microsoft.com and let ChannelReady get them through the tax and payment profile and those components. But for you, you may have requirements. They need to be at some certain level in your partner program. They need to maybe qualify in some certain way. Maybe you're only allowing partners to participate in either REO or MPO in certain geos. Make sure that you make that clear. And this will be one of those slides, again, that you'll use both in your internal enablement, and you'll use something very similar for your partner enablement deck as well. Another really hot topic is compensation. So there's a slide in here that's just a sample slide about compensation. Internally, I would recommend you do not put together an enablement deck that glosses over compensation. It's one of the most important pieces, right? Externally, I will tell you that on almost every webinar call I've done, one of the questions we get from channel partners is, how does my rep or how does my EM or my CM get comped on these marketplace deals? So this is something that you most likely will want to address in both of those decks, your internal enablement and your partner enablement, but you might have different flavors or different levels of detail that you provide on this topic, right? So super important that you include that. You'll also see all of the workflow sides, so the ones that you're used to seeing on the Microsoft standard stuff, they're all here for you to be able to modify and use as your own. Insert your name. You'll see anywhere where you're highlighted, software companies highlighted in yellow, that's where your name should go for sure. But make sure you modify those. And then also you'll see some other tips, right? So if you've got specific markets, or if you're somewhere in the workflow that's like, hey, you need to register up front, but at the end you need to register to get your spiff, add that to the workflow as well. I will tell you this, one of the things that we've done we did the MPO campaign in a box is we had to list out US, Canada, UK only. Here, I think the recommendation is do not try to list out markets, because you're going to spend all your time updating slides. Just reference everyone to the supported countries list out on the Microsoft Learn Docs, because like I said, it's at 30 countries a day. In July, it's going to go to 33. And then after that, it's going to go to more. You don't want to manage that over time. On the co-branded partner enablement deck, a couple things here to call out specifically. One, you'll see some best practices right up front. This is not a slide that you'll share with your partners, but it's some tips for you. Definitely want to get this content to where your partners go. So if you already have a place where partners go on a monthly basis or whatever to get new content, make sure this content gets there. If you've got a work stream like a newsletter or a monthly webinar or an office hours like this call that Justin runs, plug this content into there. So get it to where the eyeballs are going to be. Many of you will run social campaigns with this. Many of you will run LinkedIn ad campaigns. So one of the things that we did share here is we did some analysis on all the LinkedIn campaigns we were a part of with the MPO campaign in a box. And we listed out what were the most impactful titles, because we get that data when you run a LinkedIn ad campaign. So you'll see the very most important ones, and then the other top titles that had a bunch of hits as well. So we thought that'd be important for you to share as you build your LinkedIn ad campaigns, if that's what you choose to do. Here, another call out is if you do not sell through all of these models, you do not have to present them all, right? Oh boy. We are going to go and pause there. That was a little loud. So you don't have to present all of the models. Yes. So no one will be surprised that it is noon Eastern here as we're presenting. All right. So if you don't want to do two-tiered MPO plus REO, you can remove that from the slide. If you, we also have all of the workflows for REO as well in the deck. You can modify these as needed if you want to call out specific things like, hey, you need to use this distributor in a particular market. Many of you have authorized distributors. You can add those to your workflow as well. If you have anything special that you do around the agency fee, you may add that to the REO workflows as well, right? So they're yours to modify in any way that you see. And again, watch the tips for best practices there. The next thing, if you are using REO, be sure in your partner enablement to specify how you use the resale enabled offers agreement. So every software company has a different agreement. Make sure you define how that agreement works. You don't need to provide the whole agreement in your deck, but definitely provide some context so that partners know when they go through the enablement content with you how or what they should expect in the resale enabled offer agreement that you might provide to them. So with that, we will open it up to Q&A. I see we have a few more coming in here. And Justin, if you want to throw those our way, we're happy to answer anything that comes in.
Sure. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Juhi. And thanks everybody for joining again. Still time to submit your questions. So if you have any you haven't submitted already, feel free to do that right now. First question from the community. Is there a resource from Microsoft to help identify new potential channel partners that are active on Marketplace?
Yeah, so I kind of answered this as I got into my section. No, there is no resource from Microsoft because Microsoft is not equipped to tell you which partners would be good for your particular business, right? And we've specifically left the bar very low for both REO and MPO for partners to participate. You need to be a MAICPP partner, so you need to have a partner ID. And then you need to enroll in Marketplace. Enroll in Marketplace really means you go to a partner center screens and you accept the agreement. At that point, we give you a seller ID, you create your tax and payment profile, and you are ready to sell. Those that have been around with MPO in the US, there was the resale cert that also had to be submitted. Doesn't apply to any of the countries outside the US. So again, super easy, right? Any partner in your ecosystem can meet these requirements. No need for advanced specialization or designations, anything like that.
And just a quick follow-up there, as Jason mentioned, if you're inclined to do so, you can go look at the list of partners that Microsoft publishes every month. That could give you the incremental partners that have signed up. That could be a starting point if you're looking for net new channel partners that are active in the Microsoft Marketplace.
Great. Thank you both. Next question. This is great content for enabling our channel partners. How do I enable my internal team?
Good question. And so I did kind of walk through a couple of the enablement slides there. So there are two main decks in this campaign. One is partner enablement. You'll see it's the co-branded partner enablement deck. The other is internal enablement. The internal enablement, some of the slides are the same. You might have different levels of detail on one versus the other, but that deck is there. And you'll see it's kind of follows a workflow that is really kind of mapped to the best practices that we saw with the MPO campaign in a box. Oh.
Great, thank you. Next question. What makes a deal attractive to Microsoft sellers?
If your offer is Azure benefit eligible, which is how the customer sees internally, and the way that we work with you within Partner Center, it's Azure IP co-sell eligible. If your offer is Azure IP co-sell eligible, then it applies to co-sell. Obviously, co-sell applies to seller compensation. So Microsoft sellers are incredibly engaged or dependent upon software companies and channel partners selling both REO and MPO with any offer that is Azure IP co-sell eligible.
Awesome. Last call for questions. We may have gotten all of them. Last question. What are your best practices for jointly marketing with partners?
Oh, okay. This is a great question. Thank you. So you'll also notice there's an asset in the campaign that you can use to send email, newsletter, outreach to customer, right? And so you can do that directly from the software company or jointly with the channel partner, or you can hand that asset over to the channel partner and ask them to do it. So we saw many people do that with the MPO campaign in a box. Works really well. You've got a great channel partner. They've got 100 customers. Here's an asset. Go let all those customers know that you're now selling our product through the Microsoft Marketplace, right? So that's one way to do it. If you want to take that one step further, we saw some software companies and channel partners work together to do 2 customer webinars. It really focused more on their product, right? So, hey, here's my great storage product or my networking product, and here's all the things it does. And oh, by the way, you can use Mac Decrement to purchase it. So they kind of led with product. I think that's one way. I will tell you, if you are a software company and you qualify in Marketplace Rewards for propensity scoring, you should use propensity scoring. If you're working with a channel partner who's at the 2 or the 1 million or the $8 million tier or above, they have access to propensity scoring as well. So you may have a lot of customers, but your channel partner may have more. Your channel partner can take their list of 400 names, submit it to propensity scoring, score those names, and then go direct to those customers. So one of the 2 of you, a software company or channel partner, can use propensity scoring to build a very rich target list to go out and go direct to customer. And so that is a benefit either one of you can use. You can both use it and compare names or add the list together. But I would say that's the absolute best practice, is use propensity scoring and then run a campaign directly to those customers.
Great. Thanks, Jason. Okay, so I think that wraps up our Q&A. Thanks again, everybody, for those great questions. We will go ahead and pause there. But again, if you're watching this on demand and you have any additional questions, definitely feel free to ask them in our Marketplace community at aka.ms/community/marketplace. Also wanted to mention there will be a blog article coming out to supplement this webinar with more information on the playbook that was discussed in today's session. So stay tuned for that blog coming to the community soon. Thanks so much, Jason and Juhi, for joining us today. And thanks again, everybody, for watching. Have a great day. Thank you.